today with your favorite VW. Plus, we have used cars in all makes and models, and you can sign and drive on any of those too. Pay nothing out of pocket and nothing for 4 months when you buy a used car from Volkswagen Lease Summit this month. When we say zero, we mean zero. Are you in a lease and wish you'd bought? Or bought a car and wish you'd leased? Is your interest rate too high? Do you owe more than your car's worth? Bring your car to Volkswagen Lease Summit and we'll buy your car for its original base MSRP, deducting only for mileage, manufacturer incentives, and any damage. Upgrade your ride during Sign Then Drive today. Visit VWLeaseSummit.com for details. Trade offer for 2012 and newer. Excludes Highlines. Financing through VCI OAC. See dealer for detail.
At the Home Depot, we have the tools for you to give the gift of a smarter home with savings on top brands, like the Google Hub, a command center for your smart devices that raises the IQ of your entire home, or the Nest Learning Thermostat that helps you conserve energy and save on your bill. And if you don't know what to get, gift cards are a smart gift no matter what they get. So this year, gift smarter with savings on tools to make your holiday magic. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Here's to Prilosec OTC. Without Prilosec, I wouldn't be able to enjoy all this yummy holiday food. Speaking of, whoever made that apple pie, delicious. I just take one pill each morning and zero heartburn all day. So cheers to Prilosec OTC. Ooh, are those jalapeno poppers?
Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid that can cause heartburn, so you can enjoy the holidays. One pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just sign up with promo code 610BOB. Some of the things that I love about FanDuel is that it has all your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads to player props. You can combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay, and you'll get paid your winnings fast. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So sign up today with promo code 610BOB for your no-sweat first bet. That's promo code 610BOB. Promo code 610BOB. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. Refund issues non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 800-522-4700. Visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Tune in this week to kick off with Boomer and Valente, where they break down all the headlines in the NFL. Brought to you by Fish Hippie. Save up to 70% right now at fishhippie.com on comfortable, casual, and active apparel.
Hi there, I'm your host, Dog, filling in for the human who's normally here and bringing you the smells and sounds of the holidays, courtesy of Beggin' Dog Treats.
We wish you a beggin' Christmas. We wish you a beggin' Christmas. Dog rest ye merry Doberman, let beggin' you acquire. Deck the halls with strips of beggin'. Arf, 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 arf.
Remember, for bacon-loving dog excitement this holiday, it's Beggin'!
Let me guess. Unknown caller? You could reduce the number of unwanted calls and emails with online privacy protection. The latest innovation from Discover will help regularly remove your personal info, like your name and address, from 10 popular people search websites that could sell your data. And we'll do it for free. Activate in the Discover app. See terms and learn more at discover.com/online privacy protection.
Charging a cell phone can be like getting a booster shot. A booster is given to enhance or restore protection after a primary series vaccination, which wanes over time. Schedule an appointment when you are eligible. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7 with supplies and solutions for every industry and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Jimmy Conrad, one-third of In Soccer We Trust, a CBS Sports Network podcast covering every angle of the U.S. men's national team's return to the World Cup stage. The Stars and Stripes lock horns with Wales, England, and Iran later this month. In Soccer We Trust will be there for every step of the way before, during, and after the tournament, including match previews and recaps, breaking news, roster breakdowns, special guests, and much more. In Soccer We Trust is all in for the World Cup, and we want you to come along for the ride.
Listen to In Soccer We Trust on the Audacy app and anywhere else you find your podcasts.
Football, tailgating, holiday parties, and Smokehouse Barbecue. I can't think of anything better. The holidays are here. Let Smokehouse Barbecue celebrate with you. They have private banquet rooms at all 3 area locations in Zona Rosa, Gladstone, and Independence. If you're hosting your own party, invite Smokehouse along. Order the whole meal with their famous ribs and wings. And don't forget about their hickory pit beans or cheesy corn to go with your meal. Give them a call or check them out at smokehousebbq.com. For over 30 years and family owned, it's Smokehouse Barbecue.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
When temperatures drop, COVID-19 cases may rise. So if you test positive and are at high risk, act fast. Even if your symptoms feel mild, ask your provider if an authorized oral treatment could be right for you. Visit treatcovid19.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
All right, back here on Cody in Gold, Alex Gold, Jay Binkley, Nick Schwert with you here on a Wednesday. Good to have Bink fill in on the show today. Coming up in about 30 minutes, we will get into some college football. That's why I wanted to have Bink on the show today. We'll talk some college football with him. Also, at 11:45, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. You'll hear from both of them right here on 610 Sports Radio. But let's head out to the 610 Sports Hotline, Bink, and welcome in our Audacy NFL insider, Michael Irvin, the 3-time Super Bowl champ, the Hall of Famer, where insider calls are presented by BetQL. Get access to data and insights the sportsbooks don't want you to see. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download the BetQL app or visit BetQL.com today. Always good to have you on, Michael. We've been talking this week already about this Chiefs-Bengals game on Sunday. This idea of it being a revenge game, of course, the Chiefs losing in the AFC title game to Cincinnati a season ago. Can that be a good thing for the Chiefs, or can you get maybe too caught up in that as well?
Well, we always, you get ready to prepare to play. You always talking about, and trying to conjure up or muster up anything that makes you more excited to get more prepared to play. But ultimately, I don't know that it really makes a difference. One year we beat Buffalo in the Super Bowl, and then Emmett held out next year, and they came in here in Dallas, and they beat us a second game, and they would say, we got them back. I said, oh, really? They gave y'all a diamond ring for that game? That was week 2 of the season. They gave us a fat diamond ring for that last game. We beat y'all. So you know what I mean? I take all that stuff with a real small grain of salt. But I'll use it if it happens to me. It just never really happened to me, but I will use it if it happens to me. You know what I mean? Because you got to use anything and everything you can to get ready to play that game.
We were talking about these two quarterbacks in particular, and because I feel like in Kansas City, we viewed it as Mahomes versus Allen or Mahomes versus Herbert, but we were talking earlier in the show that I feel like it should be Burrow and Mahomes almost just as much. I mean, Joe Burrow's 2-0 against Patrick Mahomes. He's got a chance to get to 3-0 against Mahomes. No other quarterback's been able to do that.
Yeah, and that's the truth too, man. And listen, and he has some talent. He was. Let's be real now. He's 2-0. He's 2-0 when you had Tyreek Hill. Mm-hmm. You had something that you can battle him with, that explosion that he has over there in Jamar Chase. I don't know if he's going to be back, going to be playing now, but you know what kind of beast he is. So it's going to be interesting now if Jamar Chase is playing, and now you're playing without your most explosive player, and they're still having they're getting back their most explosive player. It's going to be a great game. It's by far the best game of the weekend.
Michael, you take Patrick Mahomes out of the equation, and you had an opportunity to draft any quarterback in the AFC like Herbert, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. Who you taking to start a franchise?
I think I'm with you guys. I think I'm taking Joe Burrow. I just I like his pizzazz, his style, his mannerisms, the way he comes, the way he walks in the game, the confidence he plays with. That reminds me of Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes plays with such incredible confidence, man. He's the kind of player like Joe Burrow. It's like I don't care what's around me. We're still going to go and win games. They raise up the people that are around them, and that's what I like.
When you look at the Bengals and the Chiefs, Buffalo Bills were the Super Bowl favorite going into the season. Right now, as we sit right now with the way these teams are trending, are Kansas City and Cincinnati these the best two teams in the AFC?
Kansas City, Cincinnati. I got Kansas City in there. Cincinnati is coming. They're coming. They're starting to play better. They're starting to get their little groove on. I thought it was amazing last week as I was studying. If you saw, I don't know, and then we showed it on TV. But I mean, it's amazing how much the numbers from Cincinnati had at this time last year, going into last week's game. They were almost exactly identical. No, they were exactly identical. Like at this point, yards they were averaging, the points they were averaging, Burrow's quarterback ratings going. It was exactly perfect going into this place. And that mental thing that Cincy will have, okay, now, this is exactly where we took off last year. Let's try to ride that same wave and take off again. We're getting healthy. We're getting ready. Yeah, you got to be worried about that.
We're talking to Michael Irvin, the Hall of Famer, the three-time Super Bowl champ. He's our Audacy NFL insider. Just a minute or so ago, you mentioned, of course, this Chiefs offense without Tyreek Hill this season. And I think we had you on maybe in the offseason or right before the season as well, talking about everybody wondering what would this offense be without Tyreek Hill. We know Tyreek Hill is having a ridiculous season down in Miami. He might be the offensive player of the year. Then you come back to Kansas City, and Mahomes is putting together an MVP season. He's the MVP favorite, and he's doing it without Tyreek Hill. How impressed have you been, though, the way Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have been able to put together an offense that, at least statistically, is actually having a better season than they did a year ago?
Yeah, it's been impressive, but I'm not shocked or surprised. I mean, let's be real, man. Andy's one of the baddest dudes out here. I mean, if Bill Belichick was not coaching, you almost could say Andy Reid's the best coach in the NFL. That's what I think of Andy. I've always thought that of Andy Reid, and I may have told you guys before. I thought the biggest mistake they made was letting him get out of Philadelphia. I'd have rode that thing until the wheels fell off. That's how good that dude is, at what he does. So I knew, even without Tyreek Hill, that Patrick Mahomes will still have success. Now, nobody could imagine he's having this kind of success, but to some degree, because we always talk about, he's also number one receiver. Yeah, he is a number one receiver. Tyreek Hill, no doubt, one of the best receivers in the National Football League, but he was his number two receiver. He had bad as number two receiver in the NFL in Tyreek Hill. His number one is really Travis Kelce, and man, what a season them two dudes are having, man. I love Travis Kelce too, man. That's my dude. I may have told y'all, I had him in the Pro Bowl when we were coaching, and just the way he was with my son who played tight end at the time and everything. Look, things like that make you love a dude all the way around. You know what I mean? You see how he spent time with kids and everything. So that always made me love Kelce. Travis, he messed with me. He likes to mess with me. But he's my boy. So he's the baddest boy out there, man, at the tight end position. He's the baddest boy out there at the tight end position. As long as you got him, you can work the rest of that system. You got him and Patrick Mahomes, you'll be fine. You can work that system. Now, let's give credit to Tyreek Hill. What a hell of a job he's done. He's gone to Miami and changed that place around. And I'm not just talking about catching passes. I'm talking about the whole attitude. Now these guys are willing to talk Super Bowl. They were so far away from talking Super Bowl that even if they tried to bring Super Bowl out of their mouth, their stomach would get in the knots. You know what I'm saying? But now that Tyreek Hill's there, he's changed that around. So he's done an incredible job also.
Michael, speaking of Kelce, talking about him, he's had 6 straight years of 1,000 yards. He'll have 7 this year. It's never been done more than 3 times with Greg Olsen. And he's already has more 100-yard games than any tight end in the history of the NFL. Is he the greatest of all time?
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. We could talk about the Gronks, and I love Tony Gonzalez, and, they all had great careers. Tony Gonzalez did some incredible things. But right now, what you're seeing Travis Kelce do in this system, in this NFL now, and the way the NFL is now, there's no doubt in me. He's the greatest tight end that ever played the game. He's just the greatest. He's incredible and each year he seems like he's getting better. That game against the Chargers, to win that game, to see how they were on the same page right away on that crossing route and the slow Derwin James up like that, because they were trying to they had a safety inside. They were trying to bracket him too, but of course they ran the bubble. He had to run the bubble. I mean, it's just fascinating how well those two guys read defenses, and they're always on the same page at the same time, which means it's almost impossible to stop.
We're talking to Michael Irvin, our Audacy NFL insider. It's week 13. We still got quite a bit of football to go, but if I were to ask you, who do you truly think are the teams that could go and win a Super Bowl? How many teams are there at this point where you could say, you know what, I can talk myself into them winning the Super Bowl in Arizona?
I got, of course, Kansas City in the AFC, maybe Buffalo, Miami, and a dark horse Cincinnati, just like they dark horse last year. The three in the NFC, I'll go Philly, of course, Dallas, San Francisco, with a dark horse in Minnesota. That's how I see all of that right there.
If the Chiefs played the Eagles right now, Michael, and it was on the neutral site this weekend, who wins?
I'm taking the Chiefs. Because what I want to see, I'm going to tell you why I would take the Chiefs. I'm taking the Chiefs because I know the Chiefs can put points on the board, against that defense, against Philly defense. And then I know the Chiefs can put pressure on Jalen Hurts to have to win the football game with his arms, not just his legs. And I think that's how my producer, one of my producers that I work closely with, Chris Jenkins, he's an Eagle fan. And he's always, I said, man, we just got to get the Eagles in a traditional game plan where we got Jalen Hurts dropping back at least 30 times a game, 30 times a game, and then you got a shot. And he's like, man, you got to stop saying that, man. I said, no, it's the truth, and I think that's what the Chiefs will do. I think the Chiefs, you get them in that situation. If Jalen Hurts can come and win that situation, kudos to him, but he'll have to graduate that class before I put him all the way in there like that.
All right, before I let you go, Michael, I got to ask about OBJ. At one point in time, a month or so ago, it was even a conversation here in Kansas City. Now it seems like they're really not in the mix at all. It seems like it's your Cowboys or bust almost at this point. Where's he going? Is he going to end up with guys down there in Dallas?
Well, he just, I know he's coming to see Jerry last, I guess, on the interview. So I guess not Cowboys or bust. He's meeting with other teams. And, those other teams that get there and they try to throw money at you and make sure don't leave the building. But I think Dallas has a shot. I've talked to Odell for quite a while, and Odell's a good friend of mine. We've had some conversations about him playing in Dallas before. So I know that there's an interest on his side to play in Dallas. Because I've certainly sold him on all those dreams. Man, Dallas is there. Man, Dallas is there. The same way I sold Dion a long time ago to leave San Fran and come on over here. I'm in there recruit like a young army. How they used to recruit us with the shit. We do more before 9 a.m. than most people do all day. The army, when they were recruiting you, I'm over there recruiting like that, trying to get him here in Dallas because he's had such great games against Dallas. I tell him all the time, I say, imagine if those great games you had against Dallas right here in AT&T Stadium, you can have 8 or 9 of those each year, man. You can go and get Offensive Player of the Year with the star on the side of your helmet. It will make you a household international name, just like it used to be when you made that one-handed grab.
Michael Irvin, the 3-time Super Bowl champ for the Dallas Cowboys, the Hall of Famer. He's our Audacy NFL insider. Always great to have you on the show, Michael. Thank you.
Hey, man, listen, let me tell y'all something now, because I do a show in New England, right? And in New England. And they had been winning for so long in New England. And I've been doing this show for so long in New England that I've seen this turn. And, they were so winning so much, they were so happy. Then they started picking in on the little things. Bill Belichick doing this. Tom Brady doing this. Just Bill Belichick. And now that it ain't so, they don't win as much. Now when I hear them, they be like, man, I said, see that? See what you're doing? You didn't appreciate when you were on that run. You should have appreciated it more. You kept trying to find little problems. I'm telling you this to appreciate the run that Kansas City have been on. Appreciate Andy Reid. Appreciate Patrick Mahomes. Don't be suckered and don't be fooled. You show up what you have, be happy, because when it's gone, you're going to remember I told you, and you're going to miss it. I promise you. And it's going to be gone one day. That's just, you just hope not for the next 10 years, but it's going to be gone one day. Good luck this weekend, guys.
Appreciate that. Michael Irvin, our Audacy NFL insider. I didn't unprompted at the end, just reminding everybody. And by the way, it's a good reminder, right? I mean,
that was beautiful.
It was, right? Michael Irvin's always fun to have on the show. We do appreciate him coming on. But like, look at, I mean, even the Rams, the team the Chiefs just played on Sunday. You know, now they got the ring. They were all in, but they got the ring. So it's, you know, this is interesting when you look at these other teams that are all in. The all-in approach is fine as long as you end up getting the ring. The Rams got the ring, so it might be rough times coming here for the next 4 or 5 years for them, perhaps, but they got the ring, so it pays off. Whereas you look at some of these other teams that are all in, Denver Broncos, for example, they're not going to get a ring after going all in here, and they're a mess until 2026, I believe, with the Russell Wilson contract. But like the NFL, it's tough to be successful for a decade. The Chiefs have had 10 straight winning seasons, Bink.
Yeah, with the parity now in the NFL and everybody sharing the same money, it is so tough when everybody's on the same playing field. You can spend the same amount of money. Everybody gets the same amount of draft picks, unless you trade them all like the Rams. Everybody's on the same playing field. They want you to be around 500. That's what the NFL was doing. It's what Chiefs did do with Marty Schottenheimer. They'd get that last place schedule, then they'd win. Then they'd have the first place schedule and not win first place again. It was back and forth. It's what the NFL does. And I get it. Everybody basically plays the same opponent except for 3, but you do play a better opponent on record in those 3 games, which does make a difference. And maybe road games against better opponents than home games is the way the NFL schedules it out. But for the Chiefs to go 4 straight AFC title games in the new landscape of the NFL, it's tough. Ask the Rams how tough it is. Ask the Buccaneers how tough it is getting back since they won the Super Bowl. It's tough. The Chiefs have 4 players on their roster pre-Mahomes. That's it. 4. 2 of them are specialists in Butker and Winchester. That's it. Chris Jones on defense. The one guy on offense, Kelsey. The rest of the Chiefs have been flipped. Since Mahomes has been the starter, we've seen a new cast of crew, and they're doing it with new people. It's why Andy Reid should get a lot more credit, maybe towards, Coach of the Year, and I get it, all these new rookie coaches looking for Coach of the Year, and younger coaches like Nick Sirianni.
Andy Reid's at a point in his career, because of how good he is, that it would take an undefeated or a 16-1 season.
Yeah, he's Bill Belichick, he's Nick Saban, he's all that when you get there. But think about this roster. It's completely different than what he's used to, but yet here they end up in the same place at the same time. By the way, I also think it was interesting when he brought up Kelsey being the greatest of all time. Unequivocally. Didn't even hesitate.
Yeah, he didn't. You asked him follow-up because he was talking about how the Chiefs, as long as they have Travis Kelsey, this offense will still hum and be just fine. And then you asked him, do you think he's the greatest of all time? And it was pretty quickly. He said, absolutely. And I don't think that debate will be much of a debate across the board. Like, there are still some people that will point to Gronk and others. I think we're about a year. You can argue it should already be done, but we're probably a year or 2 away from it being the full-on consensus opinion. I don't think it's the consensus opinion. It certainly has been in Kansas City, and obviously now you're hearing more people nationally say it. But yeah, that'll be the consensus opinion here in the next year or so.
Well, here's the thing.
It won't even be a question you ask because it'll be like, well, no kidding, obviously.
In his 10th year, he has more yards than any tight end through 11 years, and he's done it in 10 years. He's going to have 7 straight years of 1,000 yards. It's never been done more than 3 times in a row by Greg Olsen. That's it. I mean, what he's doing, and people nationally don't see it. I understand. Listen, you can say Kelsey's underrated or not. I think he is. Like, in the grand scheme of things, I think what Kelsey's doing is completely underrated. He's got more yards than anybody. Tight end, wide receiver, doesn't matter, since 2016. All of them. I mean, he's finished number 1 in the AFC. He's finished number 2 in the entire NFL in yards. And this is coming from a tight end, which is unbelievable. But when you think about Gonzalez, Witten, Gronk, these guys got 4 1,000-yard years. Shannon Sharp did it 3 times. Kelsey's done 6 in a freaking row and about to do 7th in a row. These are GOAT numbers. 33 100-yard games. No one in history has ever done that at tight end. What he's doing is setting the bar higher than any other tight end to ever play the game. And we're witnessing it. And people nationally say, Kelsey's good. No, Kelsey's more than good. He's the best. And a lot of them not really getting on that Michael Irvin on that bandwagon.
Gotta write something down.
Nick's notable notes.
All right, Jay, you're in for a treat. Are you familiar with Nick's notable notes, Jay Binkley?
Yes, I am.
Something down?
It's a great segment.
All right, you got your notepad ready?
Ready.
So I'm sure you guys saw the news that came down last night. I think we expected this to happen maybe earlier yesterday. We knew it was going down the pipeline eventually, but the Chiefs, the Broncos, a matchup that was supposed to be is no longer going to be the Sunday Night Football game next week. So 4 months ago, imagine this, 4 months ago, Chiefs-Broncos was supposed to be one of the premier quarterback matchups on the NFL schedule. Now, NBC has decided that they'd rather see the Los Angeles Chargers and the Miami Dolphins, two teams who have a combined 2 playoff wins in the past 15 seasons, face off on what will be the most watched television program of the week. All thanks to the fact that Russell Wilson decided that he'd rather be a terrible quarterback running a made-up offense than being a good quarterback running a real offense. Russell Wilson, ipso facto, ruins Sunday Night Football.
Oh, yeah, that's the only reason why. He's so bad that they flex Mahomes out of primetime. Think about that. You thought Mahomes was the one quarterback where he can't get flexed out of. Not the case. That's how bad and pitiful the Broncos. Nobody needs to see the Broncos in primetime again. I was looking at some numbers this morning, actually, where for the Broncos, they're on, like, worst offense in Broncos history territory. That's what they're doing right now. I mean, it's not just a bad year for Russell Wilson. They are the worst offense in the Denver Broncos franchise history.
Do you think
they've had guys like Trevor Siemian and Paxton Lynch and Brock Osweiler play for them, and they haven't been this bad?
Do you think that if Drew Lock were their starting quarterback, they'd have more wins?
Yeah, that's what's crazy. Yes.
I mean, probably so. Yeah, I'd be on board. But Nathaniel Hackett's proving he can't coach in the NFL. He wasn't even the play caller, and I think teams need to be more cognizant
I'll be honest with
who's
you.
actually calling play. He wouldn't call him plays
I'll be honest
in
with
Green
you.
Bay.
I think Russell Wilson has been so bad this year that I almost don't even care about Nathaniel Hackett anymore.
Wow.
Setting their whole franchise back, man.
Like,
Seattle's
do you
taking
think,
that first-round pick.
So, like, they're 3-8.
Yeah.
Right? Russell Wilson's been the worst quarterback in football.
Yes.
Do you think if Sean Payton were coaching this team, they would be above 500?
They'd have another 2 wins.
Yeah. I think
they'd be 5
Mahomes
and
brushing
6?
his teeth would have better ratings than the Broncos. Honestly, Mahomes, like live video of him
3
brushing
hours?
his teeth. Yes, for
His
3
gums will
hours,
start bleeding.
would beat the Broncos in ratings.
In Kansas City, there's no question.
Yeah,
Like,
Mahomes
like-
brushing his teeth or Broncos. What are you watching?
If
There
there
was
was
a
Mahomes.
live cam of Mahomes just around his house doing chores.
Yes, people would watch that more than a Broncos game. 100%.
Absolutely. Right now, if there was just a live camera of him just eating a sandwich, there would be thousands of people watching in Kansas City. Of
100%.
course. Yeah, and then there were some crazy stories where people were like digging through his trash a couple years ago. People will absolutely watch a live video.
But at least Sunday Night Football can flex. I know Monday Night Football can next year with the new TV deals. But you see how horrible like a lot of the Thursday night matchups are. Not this week, but usually they're bad. If Monday Night Football's been bad matchups, at least Sunday Night Football, and everybody puts the crown on Sunday Night Football, which it should. It is the best in business. But they can flex.
Listen, Michael Irvin brought up a great point there at the end of that interview, talking about just how good it is. Stop and smell the roses. Appreciate what you have in Kansas City. We're lucky, man. We're lucky knowing that you've got Mahomes and Reed for the foreseeable future. Other franchises such as, I don't know, off the top of my head, the Broncos, are not so lucky. I want to do a little exercise here to wrap up Nick's Notable Notes. I'm going to give you the Broncos.
I can't really exercise that.
We're going to do a process of elimination to find out who the sorriest fan base is, the sorriest franchise is in football right now.
Okay.
So if I just told you over the next 5 years you have to be a fan of the Broncos or the Raiders, who would you rather be a supporter of? Who would you be more optimistic about the future of the franchise?
Okay,
Broncos,
that's a different
Raiders.
The last part is a different question.
What's the difference?
Because if I'm just picking between two franchises in general, Broncos, at least they have won here more recently.
No,
as
I
a
don't.
franchise.
You don't.
Yeah, you're
the
just
past.
talking about. So that's what I said. The qualifier at the end for the future, yeah, it'd be the Raiders because they're not stuck with Derek Carr till 2026. They're not stuck with everybody till 2026. The way the Broncos are stuck with Russell Wilson, and they don't have the 3rd overall pick because they traded that to Seattle in that trade.
The Broncos or the Houston Texans?
The reason why I'm going to keep answering the opposite teams is because none of the other teams are stuck with maybe a bottom 5 quarterback for 4 years. As bad as things are in Houston, there is at least a chance they could end up drafting the next star quarterback. The Broncos can't do that.
So I assume if I just started rattling off the Falcons, the Lions, the Panthers, you'd feel the exact same way?
In fact, there was even on one of the national shows this morning driving in, Packers or Broncos, who has the worst situation over the next 4 years? They're both screwed with the way the quarterbacks are set up. The Broncos are still in a worse spot, but because of the money that's tied up in these quarterbacks.
I don't know why there's still a level of optimism I have in the Packers.
Well, because Aaron Rodgers, I know you made the comment yesterday that you think he's been a bottom 5 quarterback. He is not.
No, I didn't say bottom 5. I said bottom
Christian
10.
Watson.
He's not been
Christian Watson.
Yeah, Nick really liked Christian Watson coming out of college.
I actually mocked him.
No, I mocked him 4 to 5 times to the Chiefs.
Oh, really? I mocked him.
That's 6'4" and that speed.
So
he's second in the NFL behind Tyreek Hill and catches over 20 yards.
I actually mocked him.
No,
I mocked him
I got a lot of crap
times.
from picking Watson.
No, I'm pretty sure on the 610 site, Nick did his mock drafts, and he had
I
Christian
put mine
Watson
out there in public for people to see. Nick doesn't do any of that.
No, I mocked him about 6 or 7 times to the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think
more than anybody else,
Watson,
I think.
You're not going to talk about Brian Edwards being on the Chiefs now, the former pick of the Raiders?
He had George Pickens, I think, mocked as well. I think he had and Chris Olave, and Drake London.
I'll take Watson.
One last one for you. Broncos, Cleveland Browns.
Browns.
They have
not even a hesitation.
I still think, and we'll talk tomorrow about this on the show, as gross as it is that they have Deshaun Watson, I still think he'll end up being a top 10 quarterback next season. I don't know what it'll look like the final 5 or 6 this year.
And
he'll be a top 10 next year.
Before he was suspended, he did lead the NFL in passing yards.
He was pretty damn good as a quarterback. All the other stuff sucks, to say the least, but he's a pretty damn good quarterback, and that's why the Browns were willing to sell their soul for him and everything that comes with it. Coming up next, though, we'll talk some college football. Bink's in studio with us today, so we'll get to the college football playoff rankings a little bit. What's on the line for Kansas State on Saturday, and something that has Bink as upset as I've seen him in a while.
There's Kelsey to the end zone.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Load up on savings with a new Bobcat Compact Track Loader. For a limited time only, Bobcat is offering 0% financing for 24 months on all new Bobcat Compact Track Loaders. While the weather's cold, the deals are hot. To rent or own, call or visit KC Bobcat in Blue Springs, Olathe, or Tracy. See our selection at kcbobcat.com. Offer expires December 31st, 2022.
Today we're going to share a recipe for the perfect game day cocktail. First, we're going to need the game. Lovely. Next, we're going to add some friends. You can find these just about anywhere. I got mine from college. Finally, we add Red Kingdom Vodka, the official vodka of the Kansas City Chiefs. Once you have all the ingredients, shake vigorously and enjoy. Red Kingdom Vodka by Kansas City Distilling Company is part of the J. Rigger & Co. family of brands.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same. But at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high-commission investment products, right?
No. Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee, structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
At the Home Depot, we have the tools for you to give the gift of a smarter home with savings on top brands, like the Google Hub, a command center for your smart devices that raises the IQ of your entire home, or the Nest Learning Thermostat that helps you conserve energy and save on your bill. And if you don't know what to get, gift cards are a smart gift no matter what they get. So this year, gift smarter with savings on tools to make your holiday magic. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Here's to Prilosec OTC. Without Prilosec, I wouldn't be able to enjoy all this yummy holiday food. Speaking of, whoever made that apple pie, delicious. I just take one pill each morning and zero heartburn all day. So cheers to Prilosec OTC. Ooh, are those jalapeno poppers?
Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid that can cause heartburn, so you can enjoy the holidays. 1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Where can you find steel, aluminum, brass, and stainless, and occasionally random stuff in the bat? The Foot, who has an extensive line of Blue Demon welding supplies, filler, rods, and wire. The Foot, who is KC's and Topeka's only stocking dealer for Fronius professional welding equipment. The Foot, who is KC's and Topeka's only Fronius authorized service and repair center. The Foot, where can you go to take a Fronius welder for a test drive? The Foot, where can you find Colossus, your friendly neighborhood robot? The Foot, just like Colossus, Metal by the Foot stands tall and ready to help both pro and DIY warriors with their metal needs. For over 35 years, Metal by the Foot has continued to up their game by providing you with the convenience and selection of metals you have come to expect. Discover new and unique quality products to take your project and skills to the next level. Get instant pricing on most items at metalbythefoot.com. That's metalbythefoot.com. When you need a piece of metal, remember, metal doesn't have to cost an arm or a leg, just the foot.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
When you can't stop, there's Vicks VapoRub. Vicks VapoRub sends powerful medicated Vicks vapors right to the source of your... so you can experience cough relief and breathe easier. Generations of families have trusted Vicks VapoRub to help relieve the worst cold symptoms. So next time you have a cough, reach for the Vicks VapoRub. Vicks VapoRub. Cough relieving is believing.
Qatar, here we come.
Christian's travel agency has one goal.
Talk to you soon.
The world's biggest soccer tourney.
The hotel is 7 miles from the stadium. Are you serious? Did you email the transportation company?
Now he needs an Arabic interpreter on his roster.
I don't speak it either.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Legends, a conversation with Chiefs Hall of Famers Bobby Bell, Jan Stenerud, Willie Lanier, and Mike Garrett is now available on demand at 610sports.com and the Audacy app. The 3-hour special honoring the life and career of Len Dawson is brought to you by Century Roofing. Trust the pillars of strength. Trust Kansas City's hometown roofing team, Century Roofing. And by Quad Power Products. Visit them at quadfluidpower.com. Legends, now available on demand on your official broadcast partner of the Kansas City Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
It's Mitch Holtis. Tune in every Friday morning at 7:30 as I sit down with Bob and Josh to look ahead at the weekend in the Chiefs Kingdom. 7:30 Fridays on Fesco in the Morning, right here on 610 Sports Radio.
KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Audacy app.
All right, into the 11 o'clock hour here on a Wednesday. It's Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Nick Schwerdt, Jay Binkley in for Cody today. Coming up in 45 minutes, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes live right here on 610 Sports Radio. We'll get maybe a little injury update perhaps on where the hamstring is at currently for Kadarius Toney. Day-to-day on Monday, last check is what we heard. We'll kind of get some thoughts on that. Also, I'm sure he will be asked about the signing of Melvin Gordon. Will be the first time we hear from Andy when it comes to that. I don't know where you're at on the Melvin Gordon signing, Bink. I just don't want him to ever carry the football for the Chiefs. He can be on the practice squad. That's all I want. I don't trust him one bit. But we'll hear from Andy coming up at 11:45.
I'm more interested in the Brian Edwards signing.
Yeah, for like next year, you mean? Not for this year.
I'm just saying for a guy that could step in and maybe help
Next
the team.
year?
Gordon can't.
I'll tell you what.
Brian Edwards is to me a next year thing.
I convinced myself last night, wee hours of the night,
What time?
I convinced about 1:30.
It's not exactly we.
Yeah.
When do the wee hours?
2, 3, 4.
Wee hours is after 2 a.m.
That's still just late at night, you were thinking? Go ahead.
Okay, fine. So late at night last night, I had convinced myself, and this isn't something that I'm necessarily rooting for. I want to make that perfectly clear. I had just simply convinced myself that the Chiefs will find a way to use Melvin Gordon this season, and I'll tell you why. It's because what will happen is they get him on the practice squad, get him in a helmet, have him go through some drills, do different conditioning stuff. Yeah, I don't know. All the stuff they're going to do. Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, they're going to watch him. They're going to say, oh, looks pretty good to me. He didn't fumble in practice. Because the second you get him in a Chiefs uniform and a Chiefs helmet, you know what you're doing as a coaching staff. I know what we do, right? I know what we do from the outside. But the coaches, once they get him in the building, they're not going to say, oh, yeah, but what about those fumbles when he was with the other team? They don't care about that. Now, if he fumbles on their watch, then they begin to care. And I think they're going to say, you know what, we can carve out a role for this guy. This guy could be useful to us, if for no other reason than to take reps away from Pacheco and McKinnon in the regular season, so that if they only means they're 10% fresher for the postseason because they took less wear and tear on their body during the regular season, that is something I think the Chiefs could convince themselves would be worthwhile, to use him to take reps away, to keep guys fresher. And I don't think they're going to have the fumbles sticking in the back of their heads like we do on the outside.
Well, that's a mistake.
They kind of have a history, though, of redshirting guys till the end of the year. They kind of have a history of redshirting running backs till the end of the year when they're still fresh and able to move. But who's he going to take the place of? That's the one thing.
I don't think he's keeping the other guys fresh. I think he's just the insurance policy that if something were to happen to Pacheco or McKinnon, the only guy that perhaps he could eventually get playing time over would be Ronald Jones.
Oh, that will happen, by the way.
Yeah, who was only getting playing time because Clyde is on the IR.
And he made the team because of the last preseason game. I do believe that happened.
If Clyde, for whatever reason, if this lasts longer than 4 weeks, I would feel really confident that Melvin Gordon will jump ahead of Ronald Jones.
Anyway, we can get back to that later. We weren't even planning on talking about Melvin Gordon that much because we did.
We should talk about Melvin Gordon more often.
Something tells me we'll talk about him again in the noon hour because Andy will be asked about him, and then we'll react to Andy's answer. And I'm in a couple words, which will be something like, "He's a good football player." He's a good football player. That'll be kind of we know he's a good football player. We'll see.
Your Vegas guy put odds on the idea that he would mention that he thinks the fumbling problems are due to his biceps being too big.
0%.
But that's not
Nick's
odds.
theory.
His blocking ability might get him out there.
Nick's theory is that Melvin Gordon's biceps are too big. That's why he fumbles. I don't think Andy Reid will bring that up. No. Someone might ask about the cradle. Someone might ask about the fumble problems, but yeah.
What odds would you give me? 10,000 to 1?
No, off the board.
Off the board?
Yeah, they won't take bets on it.
So this is like KU winning the national championship in football type odds.
Oh, those were on the board before the season, believe it or not. You could have bet that. You actually could have. That was a real thing. You could have bet that. All right, we will, thinking of football in college there, let's talk some college football, then we'll get to the trash of the day because the college football playoff rankings came out last night. All right, Georgia 1, Michigan 2, TCU 3, USC 4, Ohio State sitting there at 5th after their blowout loss to Michigan, and then Alabama hanging around, sitting at 6th. We know K-State has TCU on Saturday, a chance to win a Big 12 championship, and that is a huge opportunity for Kansas State. From a bowl perspective, I don't know how much, guys, the conference championship games this weekend, other than the USC Pac-12 title game on Friday night, I don't know how much the games are going to matter in the college football playoff world. Now, you can say, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Is this why we need expansion or not expansion? Those are conversations we could have here in a second. But I don't know. I look at the Big 12 title game, Bink, unless TCU loses to K-State by a pretty wide margin, I think TCU will get in. A week and a half ago, I would have said TCU has to run the table. They got to run the table to get in, have to. I'm not so sure that's the case anymore based off of what has happened to Clemson, how Ohio State performed against Michigan, for example. Like I think if you told me K-State beat TCU, which is a real possibility on Saturday, and it's a 5-point win, a 6-point win, I think TCU could still get in the dance. USC, to me, has to win. Has to win. against Utah on Friday night.
I think they're the only one of the four that has to win. And that's why I said Friday night's a big game, because USC, Utah, and it's their one loss of the season. Ohio State, I think, is the team that jumps in if USC loses. I mean, obviously, they're fifth. It'd be tough, and you see weird things happen. TCU's been a part of this. 2014, TCU got bumped from being the third-ranked team in the playoffs to sixth with a 55-3 win. Like, it was that big win over Iowa State, and they still dropped 3 points. That's not going to happen this time. I mean, the playoff committee down in Texas and Fort Worth and all that, I mean, it's going to be a TCU going, unless they're just rolled. Like 40-3, 40-10. And K-State can do that to people, but K-State's defense does let teams back in to be some respectable.
They were in a good spot to beat them earlier this year before the injuries hit, and that's why I think K-State does have a great opportunity to win this game on Saturday. I mean, TCU's been playing fantastic, but that was a game where K-State had TCU on the ropes until the injuries.
And they are a top 10 college football playoff team in Kansas State. They're currently ranked 10th. So a close loss to them wouldn't, I don't think, hurt TCU. If for some reason two of these teams got out, you probably would see Alabama and Ohio State are sitting there dormant right now.
I don't need Alabama
the college football playoffs at this point.
That's insane. Like, because again, that's my question. Like, is it a problem that then, if that's the case, we don't value even the opportunity to play in the conference championship game? If you're Alabama and you can sit at home, if you're Ohio State and you can sit at home, meanwhile TCU loses in the conference championship game, let's say you get in over them, that's ridiculous to me.
Do you remember the first year of the college football playoff?
Oh yeah.
And that was the whole reason the Big 12 added a title game, because the exact verbiage was the extra data point, the 13th data point. The Big 12 didn't have it. That's why TCU and Baylor got left out. So then to fast forward nearly a decade and say that those teams do have the data point and the teams that don't somehow make it in would honestly be the most college football playoff thing of all time.
It would, and we know expansion is on the horizon, right? That is happening, whether everybody likes it or not. That's happening. Now, over on the J Southland Tow Service text line 913-586-7610 from the 816. Wait, how can K-State not get in if they beat TCU? How are you guys going to put in the team that they just beat? K-State, with all due respect, they have no chance of getting in the college football playoff. They have 3 losses. That's not a shot at K-State. They're 10th in the country.
Never happened before.
They're having a great season. They
no 2-loss teams even made it.
They have a chance to win the Big 12. They're locked into the Sugar Bowl. Now, the question is, are they going to be Big 12 representative in the Sugar Bowl or Big 12 champion in the Sugar Bowl? That's where K-State is headed.
See,
it's like a 99% chance.
You're right about that, but I think there's one more thing that they could do, which is I think they could knock TCU out of the playoff.
Well, sure, but the question was
I thought you were saying that you didn't think TCU would get knocked out if they lost.
I think that they can stay in. I'm just referencing the text that says, why can't K-State get in if they beat TCU?
I think a 14-point loss gets them bounced. I think a 14-point loss. Anything less, I think they stay in. 14 points or more, I think they're bounced.
I think what the committee did this week by putting Ohio State right there at 5, that was their signal to USC and TCU, which is either one of y'all lose, Ohio State's back in this thing. Because
100%.
Their only loss was to the number 2 team in the country, which neither TCU or USC would be able to say, especially USC with 2 losses. That's a no-brainer.
But is it going to be embarrassing for the committee to have the Big 12 champion in the Sugar Bowl instead of the playoffs?
You think they care? They don't
They should
care.
aesthetically, because this is the year to expand it. Because Alabama, Penn State, Clemson, I mean, it would be a hell of a playoffs if they just went ahead with this expansion now.
I'm torn on that, though. The whole I think we all know expansion is going to happen. I don't think we need to get to 12. I would have been fine with 6 or 8 team expansion. I don't think, because at some point in time, it's not just that everybody needs to be part of the party here. Like you just named some teams further down. Do I really need to see 3-loss LSU, who's 11th in the playoff rank? Do I really think
they screwed themselves by losing the A&M?
I mean, honestly, do I need 2-loss Clemson with a chance still to win the title? Hell no. Do I need LSU, who's got 3 losses, Utah, who has 3, K-State has 3, Florida State has 3, Oregon has 3? Why should those schools at this point still have a chance to win a championship? Fortunately, they don't in the current system, but I don't need 12 or 16 teams. I know we're heading in that direction, but I don't need that. And I know that might be weird here locally because we know the best chance of any of the 3 local schools to ever really have a legit chance to win a college football national championship involves expansion. If this was a 12-team field, K-State would be in position, of course, to be in the college football playoff if they expanded it. I think 6 or 8 is fine. I don't think we need 12 teams. I don't need 3 and 4 loss teams going into the college football playoff.
Well, it gives teams more of a justification to play greater non-conference games, even though Georgia did, and give them credit. They beat number 11 Oregon 49-3, to start the season off. So they played this tough non-conference game. But you start expanding it more to where 2 losses don't matter. And LSU would have gotten into I believe they would have been in the playoffs this year with 2 losses had they gone the SEC title game and would have been the first 2-loss team in the playoffs. But it gives you more justification because, 2-3 losses doesn't put you out. So it gives you justification. Maybe if your quarterback gets hurt, slips up, and you lose the game. If you're Tennessee, you're crying because Hendon Hooker's hurt. I mean, I don't know, but 2 and 3 loss teams can get in. Can they beat them? I don't know. Is Georgia that much better than everybody else this year?
I think so. I do. I do think Georgia is.
Missouri had a lead in the fourth quarter late against Georgia.
Yeah.
Just saying, man, anything can happen.
Yeah, so so we're good going into the weekend. If TCU wins, we know they're in. If they lose by, what's the margin, Nick Bink, where you said they're out?
14.
Or is it just a loss? Because I don't think just a loss is not out. If they lose by more than a touchdown, they're out.
Really?
If they lose by more than a touchdown,
number 10 team in the rankings beats them by more than a touchdown. So okay,
but it's not just like I know the ranking number does matter, but it's more about what's the line on this game? Do we know 2.5? I think it is
something like that.
Right? Is that it for? So Vegas respects Kansas State, right? At least to the extent that they respect TCU. But all season long, it seemed like the committee treated TCU as if you got to start showing us something. Margin of victory, you guys are coming from behind, you're getting these scratch-it-out wins. Yeah, I don't think the respect is there from the committee for TCU, so that if they lose a game, it's the excuse they've been looking for to leave them out.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that scenario, what you're saying would not shock people because we have seen it play out to where the committee, in terms of favoritism towards the SEC, and I do think TCU's been disrespected throughout much of the season in terms of how they have been laid out and ranked. And up until a week ago, again, I thought it was always that TCU had to go undefeated. I just do wonder now because of how Ohio State looked in that loss to Michigan, if that's enough to swing it for the committee. If TCU loses on a last-second field goal to K-State, does that really mean that they shouldn't get a chance?
But that's an embarrassment, though, for the conference to have their conference champion not in the playoffs and have a team in the playoffs that's not a conference champion.
I mean, why does that matter?
I mean,
it's the Big 12. The Big 12 just wants a team in the dance. Like the Big 12 just wants a team in the dance.
I understand that, but nationally, people look at it and go, "What the hell's going on here?"
I don't know if that like the Big 12 just wants to be represented in the college football playoff.
Like Purdue beats Michigan, it's kind of like, really? We'll put this team in the playoffs? I know they will, but
yeah, say Michigan.
But it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good.
Michigan and Georgia are 100% locked in. Doesn't matter what happens this weekend.
But I guess since you're playing a final game, that should matter. And you're not sitting at home.
Now you were upset this morning. You came in, you were all excited at first, and then we brought up that there was a coaching hire last night, and you went on a tangent for a while. Why are you so upset? Why do you hate Trent Dilfer? Trent Dilfer got hired.
I like Dilfer.
Trent Dilfer got hired by UAB. That's the news, right?
It's just here's the thing, though. These guys all. I'm curious if it works out. Trent Dilfer is a successful high school coach. Keep this right. He's in the USA top 25. I mean, he's a small division of Tennessee high school football, but he's won 3 straight and going for 4 straight this Thursday night. So he has coached at high school level. But I've seen plenty of good high school coaches, jump from Kansas City. I know one particular went from Kearney to Liberty North, very successful. Now he's with Dan Lanning's staff at Oregon. Just as a lower-level assistant. Like, when are you going to get your chance? I'm just saying, former players, broadcasters, the like, they get that upper edge. And I'm curious how this works out. Like, I'm curious, with Jeff Saturday got a lot of run. People have been talking about it because the Raiders win look good. He almost beats the Eagles.
Yep.
Barely lost those. But then time management kind of bites him.
Yeah, but that happens
in the
for
last
any
game.
That was the funny thing with
Well,
Jeff
he was
Saturday,
thrown into it, too. He didn't have an off season, didn't have training camp, didn't have all that. So give Saturday credit for that. But I'm curious if this is a new trend. Like, if this is a new trend, our team's looking at, okay, Dan Orlovsky. Can Dan Orlovsky come in now and
I think
coach
Orlovsky
our
will
team?
be on a QB coach or OC for somebody very soon.
Instead of jump straight to head coach?
Yeah.
Well, that seems to be the trend. Jump straight to head coach.
I think that's just like a little bit of a rush. Like just because
FAU,
just because
Florida Atlantic,
just because we saw Jeff Saturday get hired from NFL Live to now the Colts. So let's understand that was such a unique situation. They fired their coach midseason. Jeff Saturday and Jim Irsay extremely close. Jeff Saturday's in the Ring of Honor for that franchise. Jeff Saturday was already a consultant for the Colts. Very unique situation. I don't suddenly think that now we're just going to constantly see every guy on ESPN become an NFL head
Philip
coach.
Rivers is a high school coach. How about him for coaching college football?
Well,
why not at some point?
Hey,
You don't think he can 5 years from now?
If he coaches in college first instead of jumping from high school.
Well, listen.
Yeah, I'm talking about going to college, not going to high school.
Don't you have to start in college to get to college? Like,
listen, it's usually an assistant, like offensive coordinator. Well, usually as a position coach, then offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, those kind of things.
Okay,
That's kind of the way people go up.
Or could it maybe be that he would start at a program like, I don't know, middle of the pack team? Let's just say, I'm just going to come up with a random scenario, a team that actually had their football program shut down for 3 seasons in 2014, a middle of the pack CUSA team like
thank Nick Saban for that.
UAB. He's starting at UAB, Bing. He's not starting at Michigan State.
I get it, but what's it say about Dion? You know, Dion coaches at the college level, and he's got an undefeated FCS team. And he's undefeated. He should get more opportunities than he has.
And what were his credentials?
He should be the head coach of Georgia Tech.
No, stop.
He should be the head coach of Georgia Tech.
Stop for a second, Bing. What
Him
were
in
his,
Atlanta? Come on now.
Bing, what were his credentials before he got hired at Jackson State? He didn't have coaching experience.
But he started at Jackson State.
This is UAB.
It's still FBS.
Thinking you're acting as if he doesn't have coaching offers right now. He does. No, like, you're acting as if
Colorado.
It's a Power 5 job. It's a bad job. It's a Power 5 job.
I actually like that. I actually like that job, but he's not exactly jumping at it either.
I get what you're saying. I wouldn't take. By the way, for the record, if I'm Dion, I would not take the Colorado job.
They were
But
dominant,
if your
though, for a
argument
while.
is that Trent Dilfer's got this great opportunity, why isn't Dion? To Nick's point, Trent Dilfer just got the UAB job. He didn't get offered a Power 5 job. Dion did. That's it. And you're right. Dion has earned it. He's absolutely earned
It's
that
still
opportunity.
a decent job in college football to get when you have no experience coaching at the college level.
Sure, but you're acting like Dion's being disrespected because Colorado offered him. Would you rather just
No,
want
I'm just making
to offer
I'm just
him?
making a point. The guy went undefeated in college coaching. I would go Dion rather than, of course, he's probably going to take the UAB job. He probably wants bigger school than that. But
And what does that tell you? That he wouldn't take the UAB job, but that UAB job is probably not that good.
I don't know if he was offered it. Nick Saban personally brought that school back, in my opinion. He owns Alabama. Or UAB right back. I'm just saying, who's the next guy? Is it Orlovsky?
I do think Orlovsky.
Probably.
I think Louis Riddick will be a GM very soon.
Kyle Brandt? You want Kyle Brandt on your sideline?
Okay, come on now.
Strength and conditioning.
Peter Schrager?
For my college football program, absolutely.
Peter Schrager.
You're right. Kyle Brandt would be a great strength and conditioning coach for my college football program.
I mean, just have a head coach. Everybody's doing. They're not doing. They're doing head coaches, man.
Bink, you should have been a high school defensive line coach, and so then we could be talking about you.
Is that what this is?
RG3 text line. That's a good one. Put RG3 as the head coach.
Bink, is that what this is about? That you maybe are a little remorseful that you didn't become a high school defensive line coach?
I've known a very successful high school coach with state championships that's doing the right thing. He's starting a lower level of college football until he works his way up.
Oh, so this is about doing it the right way for you.
Oh, so you think Trent Dilfer should have declined the job?
No, absolutely not. You take it if it's offered to you. You 100% take it.
Yeah, you do.
And it sells tickets. Kansas should know all about this. Charlie Wise hiring, it's selling tickets in less miles. They did that so people go.
Well, I'm not exactly sure Trent Dilfer is going to have that stadium sold out.
I don't know, man.
You think UAB?
Kansas has hired coaches before to fill seats.
You think Trent Dilfer has like a lot of cachet in Birmingham, Alabama?
He might. He's coaching high school in Tennessee.
He might turn out to be a really good college coach. I have no idea. But yeah, the notion that suddenly UAB ticket sales and donations are up at the university and the athletic department because Trent Dilfer got hired.
How about our G3? Hire him.
By the way, Trent Dilfer is an answer to a trivia question at this point that he has a Super Bowl ring. Like,
and Tony Banks was actually the starter at the beginning of the year.
Who was the starting quarterback for the 2000 Baltimore Ravens?
Dilfer. But it was Tony Banks' job earlier. But that defense was the best of all time.
Doesn't feel like we need to be really getting into that. You know what I mean?
Hey.
We don't need to make this a combo about the 2000s.
Very successful. He's on.
And by the way,
his 4th straight state title this weekend.
He runs the Elite 11 camp, which is a big deal for college quarterbacks.
Trent Dilfer did about a year or so ago say that Justin Fields was the best quarterback he's ever seen during Elite 11. And here in the last couple weeks, that looks pretty good.
There's actually a podcast I listen to that has him on once every couple weeks. I know he got crap for that whole, like, you got to score more points thing.
Then he wanted the private jet, remember?
The what?
There was a story where Trent Dilfer was working at ESPN, and he was upset. He was wondering why Kirk Herbstreit got the private jet, and he didn't. It was a bad look.
It's because Herbstreit does a show in Montana and flies all the way to Georgia to do a night game.
Correct.
Dilfer still does a lot of analyst work, and I think he goes on a couple big radio stations. I think he goes on The Score in Chicago.
Dilfer went on with on the Herd with Colin Cowherd weekly.
He's phenomenal. He is really.
Listen,
really
I like
good
Dilfer. I'm just saying
mind.
It's interesting. Who's the next one? Is it we want Orlovsky? That's who I'd go.
Mina Kimes.
Okay.
Offensive analyst, Mina Kimes. So symbol to Dan Orlovsky can be the QB coach, offensive coordinator. Mina Kimes, offensive analyst. Lewis Riddick, my general manager. Jay Binkley, defensive line coach.
Why did it take so long?
All TV staff.
Why did it take so long?
That's what Bink says is going to happen.
Larry Durker started the trend with Houston, went from broadcast booth to coaching them, but then it stopped. Now it's the new trend to get players down to coach in Major League Baseball, manage in Major League Baseball, get these great players to coach high school football or college teams. Hell, who could Mahomes coach once he decides to stop?
He won't be coaching.
He will not be
USC.
coaching.
We've had this discussion before.
Oklahoma.
There's certain people that reach a certain
Alabama.
level where they don't do the broadcast thing. They don't coach. Like Brady's, that's why it's surprising that Brady's doing the broadcasting, because usually broadcasting at least isn't nearly as taxing as being a coach.
Well, I think it's broadcasting, because also they're offering him $40 million a year.
How about Travis Kelce for Cincinnati in 5 years?
For what?
Coach.
Head coach. No, he'll be in the booth.
Yeah, he's got way too much of a personality. He's got a future in entertainment.
Can't have a personality and coach.
You can make more money.
That's Lane Kiffin.
You can make more money just talking about it.
That's Lane Kiffin or Hugh Freeze.
Yeah, it's
big personalities.
We'll get to trash today later on the show. We didn't have time to get to it because Bink was so fired up about Trent Dilfer. Up next, we'll get to Chiefs.
Nick Schwartz, trash of the day.
Chiefs Red half hour. Thinking of Dan Orlovsky, he said something about Joe Burrow, and I think he's right about one particular thing. That's next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss Alex's That Betting Show every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Right here on 610 Sports Radio and the Audacy app.
Don't let this cold weather ruin your mood inside your house. In the building right now, some of these windows are a bit leaky, probably because they're from when the building was originally built a couple of decades ago. I don't deal with that in my house. I can sit in front of any window I want. As a kid, I remember that was always a huge thing. Couldn't sit by the windows in the wintertime. That was the bad spot, the spot nobody wanted on the couch. We'd fight over the other spots, or you'd be covered in blankets or sleeping bags in order to do that. You know those problems, and you've seen your heating bills already start to rack up. Solve those problems by getting new windows from the Window Source of Kansas City. They have a lifetime warranty, a best price guarantee, certified master installers to make sure that the job is done right, on time, and now with 3 times down, done in a faster time period than they were during the pandemic, where everybody was having to worry about these supply chain issues. They're right back to pre-pandemic supply chain stuff. They can get your windows done as soon as you need them done. Give my friends over at The Window Source of Kansas City a call, 913-333-6706. Or if you're in Lawrence or Topeka, call Gary, 785-320-2045, or head over to windowsourceofkc.com.
At MD Anderson Cancer Center, our thoracic subspecialists are raising the standard in lung cancer care. We use advanced genomic testing to develop personalized therapies for each patient's cancer. With leading-edge technology like proton therapy, gamma knife and robotic surgery, and innovative clinical trials, we'll do whatever it takes to help our patients face and overcome lung cancer. Learn more at mdandersonlungcancer.com.
Rare and colorful gemstones formed in the earth. Expert hands selecting only the best. Designers creating jewelry inspired by each stone's uniqueness. At Shane Company, we're passionate about gemstones. We have holiday gifts with a full spectrum of natural, colorful gemstones. Peach morganite, tanzanite, London blue topaz, red garnet, and more. Throughout the year, Tom Shane travels to Bangkok, the gemstone capital of the world. to handpick the best rubies and over a dozen colors of sapphires. He then has the stones expertly cut to bring out their brilliance and beauty. Our stunning gemstone jewelry makes a magical gift. We're open 7 days a week, so come in, meet with one of our friendly jewelry consultants and leave with a beautiful gift, or get fast and free shipping when you order online. Your gift will be treasured forever.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Attention! Did you or a loved one live at or near Marine Base Camp Lejeune in North Carolina between 1953 and 1987? If so, listen closely for this important legal announcement. From 1953 to 1987, Marines and their family members at Camp Lejeune drank water that was contaminated with hazardous toxins. The toxins found in the water at Camp Lejeune may cause health issues, especially later in life. Types of health issues associated with water at Camp Lejeune are numerous. If you or a loved one lived near Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation without going to court. Even if you were turned down in the past, a new law can allow you to file a claim today. If you or a loved one spent time near Camp Lejeune, call the Negligence Network to find out if you're eligible for financial compensation. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call 1-800-700-4333. That's 1-800-700-4333. 1-800-700-4333.
Inside the Huddle with Cody and Gold. Each day from noon till 1 on 610 Sports Radio. Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC on the official radio partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. 610 Sports Radio.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-989-8906 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-989-8906. That's 800-989-8906. What do you have to lose? Call 800-989-8906. Again, 800-989-8906.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Missed Black Friday? Dell's Cyber Monday event starts now with deals on powerful business tech. The savings start now with up to 50% off on select business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL for Cyber Monday deals. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Mostly sunny and colder today with a high of 40 degrees.
Weather brought to you by Pfizer and BioNTech. This fall, there are now updated COVID-19 booster shots designed for recent Omicron variants. Learn more and schedule your updated booster at vaccines.gov.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Andy's Frozen this season. Tailgate with Andy's Pick 6.
Let me tell you about my good friend Andy from Andy's Frozen Custard. He's from Kansas City, never misses a game, and serves the world's finest frozen custard. Tailgate with a Pick 6, or grab a freshly made custom treat before or after a game, and tell him Mitch and Andy sent you.
All right, it is the Chiefs Red half hour here on Cody and Gold. We're just gonna blame it on Cody. He's not here. Not gonna blame it on Nick or anything like that.
There's a lot of fumbling.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Melvin Gordon in the box back there, you know.
It's what happens. Something's going on, and I don't know. It's like the hackers are in on the board or something like that. Anyway, it's Alex Gold.
He did that to me on post game too, Nick. So don't worry about it.
Nick Schwartz and Jay Binkley in for Cody today. Coming up in about 10 minutes, we will head out to Arrowhead. We're going to hear from Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And it is the Chiefs Red Half Hour brought to you by Greenway Ford. It's a new day, a new way at the all-new Greenway Ford. We are streaming the show as well. If you want to watch us on video, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, you name it, you can check out the show as well. Bink's got his drinks in front of him.
Yeah. I went back to
yeah, what's your
energy
switch?
drink.
Are you're switching brands?
I went forever without them. But
you don't like the Bang anymore?
Nah, well, it depends on the mood, you know.
Okay, it's a monster guy today. I think it's interesting. We were talking
Monster brought me a lot, so I'm giving him some love.
Okay, so yeah, all right, that makes sense, Bink. I got you. So
Nil.
What?
Nil deal. NIL.
You have an NIL deal?
Yeah.
You see the one that just came out though during the break?
Monster, yeah. Porsche.
Yeah, Deuce Vaughn. Good for Deuce Vaughn. Obviously, very talented K-State running back, playing for a Big 12 title on Saturday. Just got a NIL deal with a car dealership in the Man area. He gets to drive a Porsche Cayenne, so probably for the next 2 months, and then obviously the season's over. But still,
so do you?
Man, no, I do. No, I do not have that same NIL deal. That one does not exist. I'm not reaping the benefits of anything like that. That's for sure. So Dan Orlovsky, we were just joking about him. About you think he's going to be a head coach at some point.
He will.
He was talking this week though. He says Joe Burrow is the Grim Reaper, which. Whatever. We know that was a short-lived thing here in Kansas City last year when they beat the
Reaper
Bills.
resides here.
Well, I just don't think it. I don't think anybody's allowed to use that. How about that? No, nobody's allowed to use the Grim Reaper thing.
I was only able to use my song 1 week.
I know that's why.
Grim Reaper song.
That's what happens when you lose the next week to Cincinnati, unfortunately, in the way you did. Cincinnati, he says, should scare the hell out of everyone. What I actually think is true about this game on Sunday is that we should be talking about Mahomes versus Burrow the same way we've been talking about these Mahomes versus Herbert matchups, these Mahomes versus Allen matchups. Yes, Josh Allen and Mahomes have played more, but when Joe Burrow's 2-0 and a chance to go to 3-0 against you, and he has gone to a Super Bowl, Josh Allen has not. Neither has won an MVP. Talking about Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. Neither has Justin Herbert, of course. Justin Herbert can't even get in the postseason. I do think we should be talking about Mahomes and Burrow in the same realm as we do Allen. Not that Burrow is in the same realm as Mahomes, because Mahomes is better than all of them. But if we're going to have the same conversations about the way we did for Buffalo week, the same thing should be happening here against Cincinnati.
Well, you heard Michael Irvin. We asked him this question. Said, who would you take? Who did he take? He took Joe Burrow, didn't he?
He did.
Flat out.
He
takes Joe Burrow instead of everybody else. The guy that covers the NFL, guy's in the Hall of Fame. And Michael Irvin goes Joe Burrow. I go the same way. And I know that Allen's a great quarterback, and it's no slight to him. And Herbert's got to do some in the postseason, believe it or not. But the bottom line is, when you're Joe Burrow and you got that swag about you, it's called the it factor, man. Some guys have it, some guys don't. Joe Montana had it. Mahomes got it. I think Joe Burrow's got a touch of it. He's had a horrible offensive line. 5th in sacks this year against. There were more sacks than anybody last year in the NFL, and they haven't gotten that much better bringing in Kappa and Karras this year. Didn't do a lot of wonders to that offensive line. The running game's one of the worst in the NFL. They average less than 100. The running game's worse than the Kansas City Chiefs. I think running offense, they're 27th in the NFL. So it's all on Burrow's shoulders to continue doing things, and he is number 2 in scoring in the red zone.
It's interesting, though, because the same way we've mentioned, man, what would Mahomes do if he had the Buffalo Bills defense, right?
Which is 12th right now, by the way.
Which is 12th now. Yeah. For a while, they were top 5. We were saying, man,
they were 1 when we played them.
Top 5 offense, top 5 defense. And that was the case last year for the Bills, and yet they lost to the Chiefs in the divisional round. And so we say that, all right, if Mahomes had that, how many more Super Bowls would he already, how many more in addition to the 2 that he's been to, would he already have been to? Would you look at Burrow the same way where I say, all right, Joe Burrow, if we talk about Allen, despite having the top 5 and top 5, Joe Burrow has a top 5 defense right now in football. Top 7, I think it is. Defense in football. It's the same. It's not much. I guess I'm saying the conversation should not be all that different.
13th for Burrow. Points per game.
Points per game.
Defense, 13th.
His defense total point is 13 right now. They should be in the same conversation to a certain extent.
Now, yeah, they should be. I mean,
Allen, Herbert, and
Burrow.
But
they win because of him. But if I was going to ask you who's going to have more MVPs, you're a betting guy, Alex. You have a betting show here on Thursday
night.
night.
All right, man. We're back after a couple weeks off.
It's something you like to do. And the bottom line is, who wins more MVPs? Who would you take? Burrow, Allen, Herbert, the rest of the way?
It's between Burrow and Allen.
Okay.
I don't even think I have to add Herbert into
And
that.
none of them have one of them. So
because if you're going to be, how am I going to take the guy that can't even make the postseason?
you can't, unless
and can't
coach change, which could happen.
What's the number one qualifier at the beginning of the season when we've all, whether it was on the betting show or here, when we talk about MVP race? The bare minimum thing you have to do. What is
postseason, 100%.
Win your division.
What?
Like, not even that. Like, that's the other thing. Like, win your division. I know Mahomes can do that. I know Josh Allen can win his division because he's done it before. We'll see if they do it this year. And Josh Allen's not the favorite to win MVP anymore. He was all season until the last 3 weeks. Joe Burrow's not a sure thing he's going to win their division this year either. But I think it's more likely down the road that Joe Burrow can win division titles than Herbert because he's got to deal with Mahomes. And so that's the first qualifier to get the MVP. If you're asking me the question, I still think more MVPs Josh Allen because his running ability until he gets north of 30 will be a big asset for him in terms of stats for the MVP award bank. So I do think that'll be something that helps him in his eventual MVP conversation.
You got to beat the bully. You got to beat the bully, and he has.
And I know right now
when it counts.
And I know Josh Allen was already getting MVP love until 2 weeks ago. Joe Burrow has not been in the MVP conversation all year.
No, and he should be looked at that. Again, I said he's second in the NFL in the red zone scoring when Joe Burrow's down there because he's got that it factor. Terrible offensive line, terrible running game, so he doesn't have that to really bolster. Yes, he has talent at wide receiver, been without Jamar Chase here for a couple of weeks, and yet the Bengals are still a very good football team going and play a very tough game against Tennessee, but they beat the bully. Like in the AFC, the Chiefs sit on the top. They're the king of the hill. And they have proven they've gone into Arrowhead and won a football game, and they won 2 straight against this football team. I know Buffalo's beaten them in a regular season. That's fine.
Yeah, that's
Can you beat them when it counts? Can you beat them at Arrowhead Stadium? The team that's gone to 4 straight AFC title games. Mahomes has only lost in overtime in his career in the AFC title game or in the Super Bowl. That's how his season's ended. He's played more football than any human being on the planet right now as far as in the NFL. It's been Patrick Mahomes, how many games he's played. But the bottom line is, can you beat the Chiefs when it counts? Burrow has.
Coming up next, we will hear from Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid live out at Arrowhead on 610 Sports Radio.
This is Cody in Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss Royals first baseman / NFL insider, Vinny Pasquantino. This football season with Cody in Gold.
My Twitter is about to unload of football tweets. First Jets game that I have free on Sunday. It's go time.
610 Sports Radio.
Hope everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving. Now it is full go for the shopping season with the holidays right around the corner. And with that, as someone that used to wear glasses, you knew that if you were going to go out of your car in the cold weather, your glasses were going to fog up by the time you went in the car, out of the car, in the store, back out of the store. It was just a pain in the butt. Doesn't have to be that way for you. It's not that way for me anymore. Ever since I called up DuraVision, I don't wear contacts, and I sure don't wear glasses anymore, and it's all because of the great staff over there. I went in for my free consultation, and I found out from Dury that I was a candidate for SBK Advanced LASIK. 2 days later, had my procedure. Next day, driving right back to work here at 610 Sports Radio. They are the best in Kansas City when it comes to your vision needs. DuraVision's performed over 65,000 vision correction procedures. Just give them a call. Find out if you're a candidate for SBK Advanced LASIK. 913-491-3330. That's 913-491-3330. Or just go online to DuraVision.com to schedule that free consultation and tell them Gold from 610 sent you.
For the perfect game day cocktail, you really only need one ingredient. Red Kingdom Vodka, the official vodka of the Kansas City Chiefs. Red Kingdom Vodka by Kansas City Distilling Company is part of the J. Rigger & Co. family of brands.
It's time to get your remote start installed before you have to scrape your windshield or upgrade your car with better speakers or Apple CarPlay. Go to Santa Fe Auto Sound. Santa Fe Auto Sound, 8030 in Santa Fe or SantaFeAutosound.com. Kansas City's home for car audio since 1967.
She's the one, the only one, the one you plan to spend the rest of your life with. So why are you looking at rings in some jewelry case that come out of a Chinese factory or come from some self-proclaimed pretend friend in the jewelry business who you'll never meet who has a factory in Bangkok? She deserves more than a participation trophy. This is Jean from House of Diamonds. The love of your life is a one-of-a-kind creation. Honor her. with a one-of-a-kind ring that you helped create. Unlike other stores, we custom designed, prototype, cast, and hand finish our jewelry completely in our Overland Park studio. It never leaves House of Diamonds until it does so with you. That's one of the reasons we can back our jewelry with a forever warranty. And one of the reasons we repair and rebuild a lot of jewelry bought elsewhere. Come see the difference up close. Hey, we might even become real friends at House of Diamonds. House of Diamonds on the southeast corner of College and Quivira.
What makes Amazon Pharmacy Amazon Pharmacy? There's transparent pricing, so you know what you'll pay before you pay it. And Prime members can save up to 80% on prescriptions. Pharmacists can answer all your questions and can even transfer your prescriptions for you. All of this delivered directly to your door. It is Amazon Pharmacy, after all. Save time, save money, stay healthy. Learn more at amazon.com/sports22. That's amazon.com/sports22. Average savings based on usage and inside RX data as compared to cash prices. Average savings for all generics are 78%, 37% for select brand medications. Restrictions apply.
Main wreckage on the south side of the tracks. Report of male driver, late 20s, severe injuries.
Copy that.
Can you see the vehicle?
No, it's way up there. I heard a witness say the stop arm was down, but he tried to beat the train anyway.
Too many drivers are killed crossing railroad tracks, even though they know a train is approaching. What they don't know is, even after it breaks, a train can take up to a mile to stop.
Requesting ambulance stretcher to shuttle crash victim back to the road.
Copy.
Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
Buying a home? Rocket Mortgage will cover 1% of your rate for the first year at no cost to you, saving you hundreds, even thousands with Inflation Buster. For example, if you lock a 7% rate today, you'll only pay 6% for a year. That means more road trips, more date nights, more front row seats every month for a year. And your rate is secured for 30 years. Plus, if rates drop within 3 years of your home purchase, you get exclusive savings when you refinance with Rate Drop Advantage. More home upgrades or rainy day funds. More cash in your pocket. Save when you buy today and refinance tomorrow. Call 833-7ROCKET today or visit inflationbuster.com to start saving. That's 833-7ROCKET or go to inflationbuster.com.
For fees covered rate like date requirements and other terms and conditions, visit inflationbuster.com or call 1-833-7ROCKET, equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
Anywhere fans go to cheer on their team, there are behind-the-scenes MVPs, ensuring everything is game day ready. We see you, Joe, fixing seats so every fan can enjoy every game. And Allie, who keeps her stadium running smoothly from the moment the first game starts to the last play of the season. At Grainger, you're our MVPs, and we're always here for you with supplies and solutions for every industry and 24/7 customer support. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's pro time because at Lowe's, it's Provember. Save big with inventory you can count on, like Flex products or DeWalt power tools starting at just $99. Plus, Lowe's MVPs members earn up to 3 times bonus points per dollar on select items. Save all Provember long. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. MVP's Pro Rewards Program. Terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/L/Pro Loyalty Terms. Subject to change. Prices valid from 10/17/22 to 2/3/23 or until supplies last.
Hey, it's Brett Veach. Make sure you keep listening all season long on your official broadcast partner of the Kansas City Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Audacy app.
All right, let's head right out to Arrowhead and hear from Chiefs head coach Andy Reid.
Everybody else will be out there rolling. Look forward to the challenge of playing Cincinnati. We know they're a heck of a football team. And we'll start today getting getting ready for them. So it'd be good to get on the practice field. Well, that time's yours.
Coach, I know you tried it a few months ago. I remember Chris talking about it. These are the kind of games that drove him in the offseason. Does it drive you when you play a team like this again with the way things went last year?
Well, it was the last game of the year, so I mean you remember the game, and they did some good things, against us, and so I'm not saying it drives you, but you go back and you evaluate the game, yeah.
What do you see differently out of last year? I mean, Jamar Chase maybe plays this weekend, but what do you see differently that they've done this year as opposed to when you played them twice last year?
Yeah, they're doing a good job. I mean, it's kind of the same stuff they've been doing. They've got most of their guys back. They're playing at a high level. The games that they have lost, they lost just by a few points, with the exception of the Browns. And it's very, very similar. Good, solid football, both sides of the ball and special teams.
And when you look back at last year, how the second half kind of, I wouldn't say confused you, but took you for a loop, if you will. But how much did you learn from that game that you took into this year, knowing like the lessons learned from that game? How much could you take into this year, knowing that the defense they played was something that kind of caught you off guard? You've been able to do very successful in it this year.
Yeah, and they played the first half too, so a bit, but they did a good job with it. I mean, that's what they did. They dropped 8 and played man coverage and had a thief player rolling around in there, and they executed well, better than how we did. We didn't do very well with it, so they got us. But we've worked on it. I'm sure they've worked on new things, and we'll see how it goes.
And there were guys before and after the Tampa Bay game that made it very clear how much what happened in the previous game motivated them for that contest. Some opportunity, obviously this Sunday. How do you manage when guys are already motivated because of the previous game, but not trying to lose sight of how things may change in this matchup?
Yeah, so, I mean, again, it was the last game, so you love to have an opportunity to play them and do better than what we did. I mean, that's for sure. If something motivates you, that's kind of it. But you also know you got to play within yourself and do the things that you know are right and be able to, don't get so high that you can't execute. So that's the trick there.
Andy, Patrick said that he mentioned, or I guess it was just after Sunday's game, he mentioned that his lesson from that game was to close out games. I'm wondering if throughout a season you use a game like that and sort of remind the guys of something like that.
Yeah, well, each one of these things is a learning lesson, right? Win or lose. You come out, you spend all these hours dissecting what you could have done better. And it doesn't matter the game. So you're taking lessons out of each game. This one was, for Pat, that's what it was, what he said. So, but everybody's got that. Chris said, I missed a sack. Bolton said he had 2 interceptions that he dropped. I look in the mirror, I go, there were some calls I would have liked to have had back. I mean, so everybody has that. As long as they're willing to admit it, you have a chance to get better, and that's kind of the thing I try to do.
Coach, catching the ball has always been, with your running backs, and you said one time, if you're going to be a running back on this team, you got to catch the ball. We hadn't really seen that out of Pacheco. We saw it this week. He's a young guy, right? Obviously, it's a work in progress, but how's that coming along, and how satisfying was it to see him, make an impact with that?
Yeah, so I mean, he's got really good hands. He just hadn't had that ton of opportunity, but he will. As time goes on here, he'll get more opportunities to catch the ball. He did a nice job on that one for sure.
You and Eric talked about like him having patience. When we can see how hard he wants to hit the hole, but maybe he needs to be a little more read what's going on. Is that magnified even more in the passing game with some of the option routes, ways you can do things? Wherever he is as a runner, maybe he's even that much further back as a receiver.
Yeah, he's done good with that. He actually does well with the routes and his patience on that. The running is getting better. I mean, he's getting better at that. He is extreme. He's got some kind of energy now. I mean, if I had that energy, I'd be 110 pounds. I mean, I want to borrow something. So he's unbelievable that way, how he plays, and he's that way every day. I mean, that's how he's out of practice and everything else. It's quite a motor.
Running backs. Melvin Gordon signed to the practice squad. When you sign a former two-time Pro Bowler to the practice squad, what are you hoping to get out of him as down the stretch of the season?
Yeah, we'll just see. I mean, that's kind of the way we explain it to him. We'll see where this thing goes and where he's at and where the running back situation goes. But he sure has been a heck of a player in the league. I mean, one thing we do know is we know him, and whether he's with the Chargers or with Denver, so we know what kind of player he is, and so maybe there's a time here he can help us too. So we'll take all comers. If you had some game left in you, bring you over, Herbie. Yeah, I'm saying. Yeah, we bring you over.
Coach, you briefly mentioned the Chris Jones almost sack, and maybe that's the biggest difference defensively for you guys this year. You've exceeded the sack total. Just how much confidence can that give you going into a game where you're getting home this year?
Yeah, we've done better in that area. We're finishing sacks. This kid is unique that we're playing. I mean, he's strong in the pocket, and so it presents another challenge. And our guys will work on that this week and make sure they have a plan for that.
A couple more guys.
Andy, you also had a grand practice or going to. Was there a need for a player like that, or you guys just see a good player and say, let's bring him in?
Yeah, I'd tell you a good player. He and Joe Cullen have history, so Joe speaks very highly of him, and still thinks he can contribute. So he's been doing it a long time, but we welcome that. He's a great kid and good football player.
We'll go last for Augusta, and then we'll come this way.
Coach, Patrick obviously welcomed the new addition to the family. I know it's his first. That's famous with Pat, kids know the first one's the big jolt, right? So he's probably a little more prepared for it, but does that take away, preparation time with all that going on?
Yeah, no, he stays pretty focused on job at hand. He's got a great wife that gets all that. She was an athlete too, so. But bronze, I love it. Bronze. Patrick Mahomes the third, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good. So bronze, I think, is in good hands, and the players all got on Patrick that, if they play long enough, they'll have another quarterback here.
Last two. Little news yesterday. You guys got flexed out of prime time to earlier in the day next week against Denver. Probably doesn't break your heart to get home a little earlier and get some prep work on. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I was okay with it. Yeah. Okay, I have no decision-making part of that, but or for that, but I'll take it.
Last one, Sam.
And sorry to bring up the sensitive thing again, but when the game is the last game of the year, I guess you don't have the full next week to sort of go over the things you're mentioning. So does it pop up this year, or do you just assume that the lesson was ingrained last year?
Yeah, you're saying with the players?
Yeah. Just with you talking to the players, anything of that nature.
I come in and look at the tape, and then I talk to them, before they leave. Most of them saw it too, somewhere there, either on the plane ride back or soon after that with these iPads. I mean, they all have them. So, but we talked about it. Yeah, it was open conversation about it, and we knew what we needed to do to better ourselves for that situation. I mean, every game's different, so we're going into this same team, but they'll have something different for us. But if you use it to get better, then that's the objective. A lot of guys weren't here, so they just watch the tape and see what we did.
All right.
All right, that is Chiefs head coach Andy Reid. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones in the next couple of minutes as well. Just a few things from Andy on the injury front. Juju Smith-Schuster sick, not practicing today. Jerick McKinnon strained his hamstring, and then wide receiver Kadarius Toney still dealing with the hamstring injury. All of them not practicing today. Of course, the Chiefs taking on the Bengals on Sunday afternoon. And let's go back out there. We'll talk about the injuries, but let's go back out there and hear from Patrick Mahomes.
48 hours been for you, and congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's cool. Obviously, it's awesome to bring in a son, to add to my family, and everything went great and everything went smooth. And Brittany's a champ, so it's been really cool.
You give us some insight on the bronze, and you got a theme going here, and where all that comes from?
Yeah, when me and Brittany, when we had Sterling, we didn't know if it was girl or boy at first, so we started thinking of girl and boys' names, and we wanted to obviously them to have that connection and them to be brother and sister forever. And so obviously I've always wanted to do Patrick LaVon Mahomes III. I've thought about that since I was literally like 5, 6 years old, and I always thought it was going to be Trey as the third, because you hear a lot of people doing that. And my brother Jackson, whenever we were trying to find something that was a little unique and different, he said, "What about bronze? It fits perfectly with Sterling." And we went with that, and I think it works out well. And he can have his own thing now, where he's not Patrick, he's bronze, even though he's Patrick. And then Sterling and bronze can have that connection moving forward.
Patrick, how much do you think that meant to your dad, just to get that going?
Yeah, man, he was emotional for sure. I mean, my dad, as he's gotten older, has gotten a little bit more emotional, I think, as all of us do. He was here this weekend, so it worked out perfectly that my family got to see him before they left and went back to Tyler. And so it was cool to see him, and my grandpa was here and my grandma, my mom's side. So I had a lot of family in, so it worked out perfectly that weekend.
The players were, Andy was saying about the players around you a little bit, just what was it like to introduce them to the players as well, your job?
Yeah, no, I mean, just have my family and my teammates have always got along perfectly. I mean, you would think when you saw Travis and my dad, they were best friends, not me and him. So it's just the type of organization that we have here, the type of team that we have here. We're all family in this building, and whenever I connect my family to that, it seems like it's just one big family. I think that's what makes us such a great football team.
I don't want to kill the good vibes, You got any more family ones? Last year, obviously didn't go the way you wanted in that game. Like, how much has this game been circled on the calendar for you? And does it mean more than the other ones?
Yeah, I don't know if it means more. I think you got to keep stuff in perspective. It's a brand new football season. Obviously, anytime someone beats you the year before, you want to beat them, especially in a game like they beat us in to go to the Super Bowl. And we understand it's a great football team that's playing great football right now. So we'll go out there and put our best effort forward and try to play our best football and try to get that win, because it's a big win in the season to try to hold that number 1 seed and win our division.
Patrick, how often does that game enter your mind?
Not really a lot. I mean, once the season ended and I wasn't in the Super Bowl and I had to watch it from the couch at my house in Texas, I kind of just moved on, knowing that you have to keep getting better, you have to keep kind of moving up forward. And if you want to have success that next season, you can't dwell on what happened the last season. You have to learn from it and just get better from it.
You mentioned after the game, one piece of it you did learn from it was just finishing out games. Are there other tokens you've taken from that game now?
Yeah, I mean, just whenever stuff's not going the perfect way, the way that we want it to go, just getting back to your fundamentals. I think that's what I kind of look back when, especially when I watched the tape this week, is I was really good in the first half of my fundamentals, and as the game kind of we weren't having success as an offense, my fundamentals got worse and worse. And so just whenever you get in those situations, just trying to get back to that, get back to your fundamentals and trusting in the game plan that coach is going to put us in the right position to succeed.
How much time have you guys spent working on what the Bengals did to you in the second half last year? Not just necessarily this week, but going back to camp or whatever.
I mean, not a ton. I mean, we work on all different type of coverages, and I mean, it wasn't like they did anything that was that much different from the first half than they did in the second half. They put a little bit more man coverage than they did in the first half. They made some adjustments of trying to be in the right spots. But at the end of the day, we have to execute at a high level, and I trust that our guys are going to win versus man coverage. And if I can execute and throw the ball in the right spot, we'll find ways to have success. So just kind of like I said, getting back to the fundamentals and getting back to just being who I am.
Patrick, their receiver Tyler Boyd compared you and Joe Burrow to the old Brady Manning rivalry. Just when you hear something like that and looking at Joe, just what a competitor is he compared to you guys and your little rivalry here?
Yeah, I mean, I have a ton of respect for Joe. I mean, he's a great football player, but he's a competitor, like you said. I mean, those are the guys that win in this league, or guys that compete. And so, I mean, I hate to compare to Brady and Manning because they won so much and put up so many stats, and I feel like that's something that you do at the end of your career when they look back and see all the success that you have. But I know it's just like a lot of these guys. I know I'm gonna play this guy for a long time. He's a great competitor, so he's gonna be a great football team for a long time, and we're gonna have games like this. And so I just try to go out there and win the week, and I know he does the same. And we see what happens at the end of the week, and you move on to the next.
Patrick, on a non-Bengals question, Patrick, I know early in the year you were talking about how much you thought maybe you would use your legs more as the season moves along. With the new receivers, I just wonder how much are you sort of anticipating getting out of the pocket a little bit more and obviously using that to your advantage?
Yeah, I honestly don't think about running until I have to. I think that's a good thing and a bad thing, but I try to do whatever I can to throw the ball down the field. But with all the coverages that we're getting, and they're trying to take away guys and man coverages and putting people out there to stop all the receivers that we have, it's kind of opened up those lanes. Yeah, I just try to use them whenever it's there and not try to overdo it. I know they had a good plan last year where they were kind of spying me, the Bengals did, so I'll have to make sure I account for that as well. But it's just trusting your guys up front to protect, and then us making plays downfield, and I'll give those guys chances too.
Even with your fundamentals, is it still more fun to throw out of the pocket than the traditional 3-step, 5-step, and get it out of your hands?
I don't know. As I've gotten older, I've started to like throwing from the pocket more. So I don't know if it's just because I've gotten a little bit older and understand a little bit more. But when I was younger, I'd like to scramble around and make a ton of different throws, and I can still do it. But if I can throw from the pocket these days, I'm just gonna throw it from there.
Patrick, you mentioned not dwelling on things earlier. Sky Moore had a difficulty getting the drop on the punt, and you could hear the crowd. The crowd kind of got after him a little bit. You guys on offense still went right to him. Is that something that you saw that and said, I'm going to get him? And he obviously had a very good game then catching the ball. Is that something you said? Does Andy say that to you? Is it Eric, somebody talking in your headset saying, let's get him involved and get the ball, or did it just work out that way?
I think it just worked out that way, but I think EB and Coach Reed do a good job of whenever stuff like that happens, scheming up stuff or calling those plays that might have him as one of the primary options. I just go through my reads and throw it to the guys that are open. I mean, that's the thing in this team is we're not dwelling on that. We know the guys here are competing. They're doing whatever they can to put everything on the line. And if something happens bad, we know the next time you get a chance, you're gonna make a play happen. And that's what great teams do, and that's what great players do.
You mentioned, Sam, maybe losing some fundamentals at the end of the second half last year in that game. Is that something you feel while it's happening, or something you see on tape? Do you have any safeguards, someone watching to kind of give you a little cue to say, look out for this if that's happening during a game?
I think it's something that I've gotten better at recognizing as my career has gone on. I think when I get in some, I don't want to say slumps, but in some spots in games where my fundamentals go bad, I've tried to be better at fixing them quicker because those are things that I've taught myself now of how to recognize and how to get back to what do I think of to get back into the right fundamentals. And having guys like Chad Henne, Nagy, and all these guys that kind of been around me for a while now, they can kind of give me stuff, and they can, I don't want to say critique me, but they can tell me when I'm not doing something the right way so that I can get back to what we practice on all week. And that's something that I try to recognize as quickly as possible.
Like a little bit of a mound visit for
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, just having someone that can come out that you trust that knows that they want you to play the best football possible, and they can just give you those little tidbits that can get you back into the rhythm of the offense.
We'll go Harold, Sam, then Alex. Go ahead, Harold.
Patrick, this year with the Bengals, is there anything differently, or is it more of the same you see with the Bengals defense and what you're about to face this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good defense. It's a really good entire unit of defense. They're well coached. I have good players at every level, and they've played together now for a long time, so they do a great job of passing off stuff and zone coverages and man coverages, knowing where the other guy is to help. And so, I mean, they're a well-coached unit. We know it's a great challenge for us. And we're just going to go out there and try to execute at a high level. And it'll probably be a lot of tight window throws, and guys are going to have to make plays. And that's what happens when you play a great football team. It's just going to be a tightly contested game.
Yeah. Patrick, I'm sure when you play any team, if you played them recently, you watch a lot of them of the last matchup. What is that experience like, and does it differ based on how you played in that particular game?
I mean, you kind of learn. You learn from it in good and bad ways. I mean, you learn from the stuff that you did good, and you want to execute and do that stuff again. And then you see the stuff that you miss, and you obviously you're mad because you missed it, but you learn from that so you can hit it the next time. So the thing about us is we've started to play these teams now a lot now with a lot of these young quarterbacks around the league. You start playing the same teams. And so you learn from it. You make adjustments, they make adjustments, and then you go out there and make adjustments on the field. So it's a great challenge for both teams, and I'm excited for it.
After going back to off-season, preseason, you can recall when you do have so many new faces in the receivers room, what are the most important things for you to do to help them get acclimated, to help them feel welcome here?
I think it's just you just talk to each other. You learn that relationship with the guys off the field, and then on the field you talk to them about how you like things ran. They talked about how they've ran them before. You learn from each other, and you go out there and execute at a high level. And I think that's what we've done. Is as the season's gone on, you see we're getting more and more chemistry because we've talked through the stuff, we talked to the mistakes, we talked to the positives, and we've learned how to keep evolving as an offense.
Thanks, Patrick.
All right, that's Patrick Mahomes out at Arrowhead. We're expected to hear from Chris Jones in the next couple minutes as well. Of course, a lot of the press conference there with Patrick talking about his newborn son, Bronze, kind of the background behind that as well. I thought it was interesting, though, he mentioned, of course, in the AFC title game, we all know the second half was the worst half of Mahomes' career. He mentioned that he thought it was more of a fundamental breakdown that got worse and worse in the second half, and that's something that he feels like maybe he's more cognizant of now, a year later, that if some things are going wrong, that he's able to maybe make the adjustment better than he did in that AFC title game.
Yeah, it's good that you think it's not the scheme the Bengals were doing, but more on him.
Saying,
I mean, that's a comforting thing to know if you're a Chiefs fan.
All right, we'll go right back out to Arrowhead Bank, then we'll talk more about that. Here's Chris Jones.
With last year's game, I'm just wondering what you see when you go back and watch it, and just also kind of the emotions of going back and watching that game.
I haven't went back and watched it yet. I watched a few games of theirs this year. They got a completely different offensive line, so I haven't went and visited last year yet.
So it's just specifically because of the change in personnel that you focus on?
Yeah, because of the change in offensive linemen. Everyone is new. I've been trying to get a beat on how they said, how their group is blocking together, so I haven't had time to go back to last year.
I remember talking to you in the offseason, one of these things, and you had mentioned that, the game against the Bengals in the playoffs, and felt you almost had a couple of sacks that didn't come through that way. Is it still something that is on your mind, or is that just kind of off-season stuff?
I mean, it was a driving force for this offseason. You always can look back and push yourself to do something better, and it was definitely a driving force of a lot of plays I left on the field that I think could have sealed the game and put us in a better position to win. But right now, our focus is on, this year, winning this game, putting ourselves in a position to where we can go out and compete.
Go ahead, sir. Statistically, if I could talk, sorry. Statistically speaking, you're at your second best sack total already, and as a team, you guys are already eclipsed last year's sack total. I mean, I know pressures, you hear Coach Spags talk about pressures and everything, but to be doing that, you guys obviously focused on something, you're accomplishing it right now. What was the driving force? Why? Because there's not a lot of massive personnel change, right? Why you personally and the unit doing so well?
One person, man. Well, actually, two people. Terry Braden and Joe Cullen. We got some of the best coaches in the building, and we're just very fortunate. We got a very good group, very young group, a lot of hungry guys in our room, starting with the leadership of Frank Clark, Carlos Dunlap, then younger guys like Colin Saunders stepping up this year, Derek Nottie, who's been in this system for 4 to 5 years, and Mike Dana, Tershawn Ward, a lot of guys who's hungry to show that, they belong in this league.
Chris, not to say that you're ineffective at the beginning of games, but there's points in games where it seems like you really start cooking and you're very hard to defend. I guess do you know what I'm talking about, and what takes you to get there, and how do you challenge yourself to get to that point as fast as possible?
It's more so being decisive. I understand that every play of the game, it's not meant for me to make. Sometimes it's meant for me to take on a double team in order for the blitz to get there. And schematically, me and Spags talk about it along the week, how he plans on calling the game and how he plans on using me. And when I get my opportunity to get a one-on-one, or I see something I've seen on film where I can take advantage of it, that's what I try to capitalize on.
Chris, is there anything about Joe Burrow that makes him difficult to bring down?
He's a good quarterback, man. I don't know what you guys want me to give you all world. I'm not going to give y'all all of that. He's a good quarterback, man. He's a good quarterback.
Couple more.
Chris, Andy mentioned a couple weeks ago that the difference in you early in your career and now is just how much you concentrate in the off-season on your body and the shape you're in and stuff. I'm wondering what motivates you to do that, and how you've seen the difference play out on the field.
A six-pack. I've been trying to get this six-pack for 3 years, okay? Right now I'm getting older, so the older you get, it's harder to get now. Honestly, I think it's a huge part of nutrition. we got a heck of a strength staff and nutritionist staff here. Barry Rubes, me and him, we gained a huge personal relationship this off season, and my goal was to make sure I come back in the best shape I've been in a while. And we focus on that throughout the year. You know, it's a building process. It's a marathon, but we just continue building.
We see the Joe's. Are the Joe's fries part of the nutrition? Is that part of it?
Yeah.
It's not working for me.
You got to be very decisive, man. Mondays is cheat days for me, so I goes with a half a pound of burnt ends and French fries. They're so consistent, man. That's the thing, consistency with Joe's. Their fries always taste the same. They're always fresh and hot, and the burnt ends, they're like candy. So that's my only time I get to eat beef, so, you know, I take advantage of it.
You mentioned Carlos' name. This is homecoming for him. Have you talked to him this week about what this one means to him personally?
Surprisingly, I actually mentioned that today. Me and him talking, I asked him, Carlos, this is your homecoming. He was like, yeah, this is my first time going back since leaving. And I was telling them how much they hate him over there. Because they felt like he left them when they was doing bad and then he jumped ship. But respectfully, you know, he done a lot for that organization. He's probably one of the best DNs to play in that organization. We're very fortunate to have him in this room, the type of player, the caliber player he is. And we're glad he's on our side this time. So,
Chris, you know, there's a lot of guys who've got kids in there, and Patrick just introduces one, and I remember you saying you like dealing with kids but not babies, but how many times have you been approached to be like Uncle Chris, if you will?
Oh, man. It's so crazy because when my kids hear somebody call me Uncle Chris, they'll start calling me Uncle Chris. So, you know, it's crazy. But, yeah, I done been approached a couple times to be Uncle Chris and take the picture with the kid on the shoulder. It's all out of love, though.
Chris, we saw a lot. Last year's kind of a thing made about you playing defensive end, and you guys kind of got away from that. This year, no one's really talked about it, but you've had some success out there and done that a little bit more. Is it just a matter of finding the right time to do it, or are you more comfortable at it? Why has it seemingly worked a little better this year than last year?
I think it's more situational. When it's clearly passing downs, I don't think you want to leave me in the read option against Lamar. I don't think that's the best outfit to have, but more so situational downs where I can just rush the passer and be free out there on the end. So,
Chris, specific to one of your newest teammates, running back Melvin Gordon, you've had an opportunity to play against him over the years. What makes him stand out, and what special skills stand out to you about him?
He's a hard runner. You know, I had the pleasure of playing him my first 3 to 4 years. And then I think there was I don't want to get it wrong, San Diego Chargers then before they moved to LA. So yeah, him and Phillip Rivers was together a long time, and he's well respected and high regards in this organization. So we're very fortunate to have him. I think he'll be a great asset to our running back room, and it'll be fun to watch him play.
Last one, Pete. How proud have you been of Colin Saunders and his breakout of sorts, and what have you seen behind the scenes that sort of led to that for him?
We talked about it along the lines of training camp. We used to have our lone talks walking up and down the hill, and you know that was the focal point of his maturity. He's grown a lot in a lot of areas, and it's starting to show in the film. You turn his film on now. I mean, he's a complete different player than what he used to be, and that goes more so with opportunities also. He's having more opportunities to play, to broadcast his talent. He was hurt the past few years, been healthy and been accessible for this team in order to be out there to show your talent. It's a huge thing. So to have him here playing and healthy, it's been great for our D-line room, you know, his contribution.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that is Chris Jones speaking to the media. And is there anybody that's not ultra motivated or has some reason to be ultra motivated for this game on Sunday? Like, there's, of course, the loss last year in the AFC title game, and the talk has been Mahomes, second half. We heard Mahomes talk about the fundamentals breaking down the second half. You got Chris Jones, who we know talked this offseason and then just now a minute or two ago about not being able to get that one sack of Burrow. Then he brings up Carlos Dunlap. He was joking a little bit, but like Carlos Dunlap going back home to a place he started his career with. Like, just keep going down the list, man, there's no doubt, which is why when we go back to the Bucs game earlier this year where they had all the motivation from the Super Bowl loss and they had their best game of the year, like there's no doubt in my mind that they will be ready to rock and roll on Sunday, and we will see their best effort and best performance of the season against Cincinnati. We'll see if it results in a win or not.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that they kept it pretty simple against the Rams. I know people were upset on the postgame calling it, talk about a red zone offense and all this. I had to stop them for a second and say, wait a minute, the Chiefs scored more touchdowns in the red zone than any team in the National Football League. Now, Bengals very good at it too. They're number 2 as far as doing that, but they kept it simple, and they still win by 16. I mean, hitting the ball to Isaiah Pacheco the last 8 times you had the ball on offense, they're not going to do that against the Cincinnati Bengals. They're not going to do that. They kept it close to vast. I know they tried, they ran a few trick plays with Sky Moore throwing, but that's what he can do. I remember having Tim Lester on our draft show, his college coach at Western Michigan, says, I wish we would have put in more trick plays because Sky Moore can't throw the football. Then there was where Colin Saunders was going to come in as an extra blocker on offense. And then Rams took a timeout, then the Chiefs changed that. They're giving the Bengals something to think about. This is a chess game that goes on between these games. Jamar Chase.
Chestnut checkers, big.
Chestnut checkers. Jamar Chase not coming back until this game. Like, all this little stuff does matter, but the Chiefs kept it extremely simple. The Rams were the perfect team to play for a team just saying, okay, let's just go out here, do the bare minimum because we got the Bengals coming up this week. It's been a schedule circler. That whether they admit it or not, Kelsey and others have admitted, hey, we circled this game. Whether you admit it or not, this game does matter.
No question. I mean, Chris Jones just said it was a driving force of the offseason for
They
him.
have not won in Cincinnati since 1984. Think about that. That's 1 year before the Royals won in 85.
Yeah, so for me, I know that sounds good. And
it's older than you, Gold.
It is. I know that sounds like, wow, since 1984 or 85, and that
what year were you born?
91. That doesn't matter, though. You know what I mean? What matters, this roster, they lost last year in the regular season, and they lost in the AFC title game. So as crazy as it is to say, they haven't won there since 1980-something. Nobody in that organization other than Clark Hunt has any ties to what happened in 1984.
So you're disregarding the older people?
I don't think that it sounds way worse than what it is. They lost last year twice to Cincinnati. That's what I care about. That's what they care about. The fact they haven't won in Cincy since 84 means absolutely nothing. It is, can they get the win for the first time since Patrick Mahomes has been their quarterback?
Played 20 times. Bengals won 13 of them. I think it does matter. This does matter because I think these are the top 2 quarterbacks in the AFC.
Yeah, it matters now.
Going forward. Yeah, 100%, Alex. I'm just messing with you about the older people disregard. But it's been a minute since they've won in Cincinnati. But this is one of the games. You get the schedule. Because, look, and we've all seen the schedule past the Bengals. This is it for the Chiefs this year. This is the toughest game, bar none. You can make an argument it's probably the toughest game of the season, even though he had Buffalo at home that won. But, again, the rest of the season after this week is going to be about staying healthy and continuing some momentum going forward and getting that number 1 seed. But beating Cincinnati here, and you're sitting there with 2 losses, I mean, this is one prime to add that third L to the Chiefs going forward. Then they maybe have one more out the rest of the season. But you win this one, you essentially, I believe, have 2 outs remaining to lose to some very bad football teams down the stretch.
You win if you win on Sunday and you get to that 10-2, kind of that magic number on the back end there. 14 wins seems like almost a given. The question is, can you somehow get to 15?
Denver twice,
right?
Houston. I mean, it's
if you get by the Cincinnati Bengals, 14 wins almost seems like a given. As spoiled as we are, and then it's whether or not can they get to that 15-2 mark, which is insane.
Yeah, I mean, but it's a nice 5-game stretch. But get this game, get that confidence going that you can beat the Bengals. And I know it sounds silly, but it is a team that did beat them twice. And this team does remember, if there's one team that looks at bulletin board material more than anybody, it's the Chiefs. I mean, they found a way to be motivated. Hey, we're not the Super Bowl favorites anymore. We've been the 4 straight AFC title games. It's Buffalo Bills. They take this stuff to heart. Mahomes, takes it to heart where he was drafted. The quarterbacks that went in front of him. And whether they want to believe it or not or say it or not, this team does keep chips on its shoulder. It really does. It's kind of their team motto and what they do. They have to look for disrespect. And you know what? The national media has given them plenty of fodder for this season. Everybody's not been throwing bouquets at the way of the Chiefs, even though sometimes we do because, hey, let's look at reality, how good the Chiefs have been. In this 3-game stretch they've been on has been incredible. But again, when a team wins by 16 points against the Super Bowl champion, I don't care about the Rams record, people look at that, I saw one of the power rankings. NFL.com dropped the Chiefs. That was a ho-hum win. It was a 16-point win where they covered at home in the NFL. And yet we're going to drop them on our power rankings. It's that kind of silliness the Chiefs have dealt with all year.
Up next, though, we'll go down to the sidelines. There's a guy that will be on the sidelines in Cincinnati on Sunday afternoon. That, of course, is Josh Klingler. We'll ask him about what we've heard from these Chiefs players in the last 25 minutes or so, and what does he make of Jerick McKinnon's hamstring injury, and what it tells us about Melvin Gordon signing next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Subscribe and download all new episodes of Nick's Waving in the Wheat podcast, released every Thursday on the 435 Podcast Network and the Audacy app.
Legends, a conversation with Chiefs Hall of Famers Bobby Bell, Jan Stenerud, Willie Lanier, and Mike Garrett is now available on demand at 610sports.com and the Audacy app. The 3-hour special honoring the life and career of Len Dawson is brought to you by Century Roofing. Trust the pillars of strength. Trust Kansas City's hometown roofing team, Century Roofing. And by Quad Power Products. Visit them at quadfluidpower.com. Legends, now available on demand on your official broadcast partner of the Kansas City Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
For your asphalt and concrete needs, there's only one company in Kansas City you should be working with. That's Gann Asphalt and Concrete. They're online at GANNasphalt.com, and they understand that you have a choice for a lot of different asphalt needs. You can choose other asphalt and concrete services in Kansas City, but they believe they're the best candidate, and I do too. If you're looking for someone that has honesty, integrity, and will have your best interest in mind, there's only one company in Kansas City that I can assure you will get that with. That's Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Whether you have short or long-term goals, big or small projects, they're ready to help you with those needs. Go to GANNasphalt.com, that's GANN asphalt.com, and find out why they've been trusted in Kansas City since 1994.
Football, tailgating, holiday parties, and Smokehouse Barbecue. I can't think of anything better. The holidays are here. Let Smokehouse Barbecue celebrate with you. They have private banquet rooms at all 3 area locations in Zona Rosa, Gladstone, and Independence. If you're hosting your own party, invite Smokehouse along. Order the whole meal with their famous ribs and wings. And don't forget about their hickory pit beans or cheesy corn to go with your meal. Give them a call or check them out at SmokehouseBBQ.com. For over 30 years and family owned, it's Smokehouse Barbecue.
At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City, we are here. Here for spring fevers and lowering fevers. Here for first checkups and first dances. Here for planting seeds and growing communities. For more than
and all you need to do is use my brand tool. Is how you props. You can even combine